Hi everybody, Scott Elser at the Traction Hub. And as an EOS implementer, I wanted to share something with you today. So there's a concept that's fundamental at EOS called hitting the ceiling. Let's face it, every business right now has hit the ceiling. Whether you were growing or whether you leveled off, you've kind of hit that moment where you're not quite sure how to get the business going forward again because the environment's completely different than it's ever been before. So at the heart of EOS is this concept of what do you do when you hit the ceiling? And it involves 5 key leadership abilities that are critical to your business and are at the heart of EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So I want to share those with you today. The first is simplify. As businesses grow, they get more and more complicated, but think about the complexity that you're experiencing now, and as Corona starts to pull out, and we start to pull ourselves out of this, how complicated things are going to be to get back on track. Everything needs to be simple. People need to have a clear sense of what they need to be doing, and you need to simplify everything to make sure communications is clear, to make sure that you've really got everybody on the same page. So you are the Chief Simplification Officer. Simplify, simplify, simplify. The next is the concept of delegate. You, as a leader, need to be focused on driving the business. Your leadership team needs to be focused on directing the organizations they lead. And what's critical is that you can delegate and elevate. So you can play a more strategic role in your business. They can play a more strategic role in driving their teams, and that people underneath them can step up. So the concept of delegate and elevate is critically important, and that involves having the strength to be able to delegate certain tasks, but also having the ability to have real, true accountability and measures to ensure that those tasks are getting done properly and that the things are happening the way you need to. So you've got to build that in place so that you can play a more strategic role. You need your teams to step up, and you need to be prepared to delegate to them. The third is the concept of predicting. Now in the EOS world, we work in 90-day sprints. That means we set annual goals, but every 90 days, we pull out of the business, we look down on the business, we set the priorities, and then we go back and execute those. And predicting means being able to decide what are the most important things in the next 90 days, and what can wait until we get together again and decide the priorities going forward. So it's really about figuring out for the organization what's most important to get done in the next 90 days to accomplish those annual goals, and then using those priorities to focus the organization, but also to keep out the distractions and the bright, shiny objects. Put those over into the let's talk about that 90 days from now list, and we call that the issues list. And then you can really make sure that the most important things actually get accomplished and don't get distracted. The fourth is the concept of systemization. One of the things that's really important in any business is that you can do the things that can be done on a repeatable basis the same way every time. You want to identify what are those best practices, and you want to make sure that they get done. Now in the EOS world, we work in what we call the 20-80 rule. If you document 20% of the steps of process, you'll get 80% of the benefit. And then if you've got the right people working on those processes, they're going to figure out what's in between and do it really, really well and continue to learn and grow. So you need to identify your core processes. You need to really lay them out step by step around what are those 20% of the most important things. Keep it, again, really simple, but make sure that you've got a tool that people can use, that is easy to use, and make sure that you put a process and measurements in place to make sure that people are actually following it. So that's systemization of the business, and the final is structure. So your company, your team may look very different now than it did only 3 or 4 weeks ago. And when you come out of this, that may be even more true. You've got to determine what's the right structure for your business. And we do that through something we call the accountability chart. Now, I've developed my share of org charts over time, and it's kind of like arranging the deck chairs in the Titanic. You have people, and you're just trying to figure out how do you match the things that need to get done with people. Do it completely different. Really think about what we call the accountability chart. The accountability chart means take the people out of it and figure out what are the most important functions for your business to be successful, and all those functions need to be done well for the business to truly be successful. Lay out the responsibilities of those, and then decide who are the right people in the right seats to be able to fill those roles. So it's really thinking about your accountability chart, about the business first and then the people, not here's the people I have, now how do I move things around? So simplify your business, make everything as simple as possible. Delegate and elevate to make sure that you can drive to your natural ability and that you can lead more and do less. Predict, really think through how do you avoid the bright shiny objects by focusing the organization on its key priorities in the next 90 days and moving all the bright shiny objects to be evaluated after the next 90 days after that. Systemize the business, make sure you've got simple, easy core processes documented 20/80 to get things done the same way every time. And finally, structure to make sure that you've got the business built and structured in a way that everybody knows and has clarity of expectations around who's supposed to be doing what to whom, and it's built to make sure that the business is going to be successful first. So if you have any questions about that, be happy to help. My name is Scott Elser again. My email is scott@thetractionhub.com. Feel free to drop me a note. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much.